So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining Help Scouts webinar on 5 different ways customer success teams can use messages to boost engagement. My name is Megan. I'm one of the co-hosts and I am a product marketing manager here at Help Scouts. And Allison, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Allison. I'm on the customers team, which is what we call the support team here at Help Scout.
Awesome. So why don't we dive into the agenda? Thank you. Okay, and just to let everyone know, this session will be recorded. So shortly after the webinar is finished, y'all will get an email with a recording. And throughout the presentation, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat function down below, and we'll be answering those at the end. So to start off, we'll be discussing what messages are, and then getting into the 5 different ways you can use messages. And then when we dive into each of those 5 different strategies, we'll be using or talking about a best practice, how to implement those into your business. Then Allison will be walking through how to create a message. And then, like I said, the last part of today's webinar, we'll be discussing the FAQs that you have. So you can go to the next slide, Allison.
Yeah, and just one extra thing to point out here. I know there's like several mechanisms that you can use to ask questions and things. Any questions that you have as we're going through, just put them in that Q&A area that you see there in Zoom, and that's what we'll go through here at the end, and we'll make sure that we get all of your questions answered there. Feel free to use a chat function if you want to chat with each other, but the Q&A is where we'll be looking for those questions that you have coming in here. So just, kind of kick it off very high level and say, kind of hop into what are messages and how we define messages here at Help Scout. They allow you to surface targeted messaging when and where your customers want it. So messages can help you meet goals like increasing engagement with clients and customers, and putting helpful articles within a click's reach to improve the self-serve experience on your website or even your web-based app, and even gathering feedback or running NPS surveys if that's something that you'd like to do. So messages are a feature within Beacon. So think about Beacon as the vehicle which a message is delivered. And then if we think about, that sort of high level concept of messages, one step down from that would be the types of messages that you can create. So you can think of them as just basic, simple pop-ups or notifications. So, and instead of spending, days, if not weeks, working with your designers and your developers to get a notification live on your website, you can set up a message within minutes with the no code builder that is inside your Help Scout account. And what we're looking at here are a few of our different message types. So across the top there, we have a banner message. I'm sure a lot of y'all are familiar with that. And again, this is part of that time where you'd have to spend a lot of time with your designers and developers sort of creating that message in the past, like doing a banner across your website. But that is something that you can do with messages now in just a few minutes. So you can create that banner. Over there on the left-hand side, you'll see a modal, which is another thing that you might have to work with your developers a bunch in the past to get that done. But that's a different message type that you can use. That one you see there in the middle is the OG, if you will, the original standard message. Just kind of pops up out of the bottom of your beacon. And then there on the far right is a micro survey. So you can do things like smiley face, frowny face, thumbs up, thumbs down, NPS if you want to. That is a message type as well. So all different types of messages that you can do. So to pick back up there, again, we have all these different types of messages. So you can really sort of craft any different type of, positioning and style of message that you might want to do there. So going, to sort of start with what messages are, the types that you can do. Now I want to get into like a couple of different ways that you can use them to meet your success goals. And a lot of what we're going to go through here today, both myself and Megan, are messages that we actually use ourselves at Help Scout. And so figure like just kind of share the different ways that we somehow use messages, and then some other ways that we've seen other folks do that as well. And one of the first big things that we ourselves do this and we see other folks do this. Like I said, is product onboarding, which is a really, really large topic. That's one of my focuses here at Help Scout. There's a lot that you could get into with product onboarding, and it means a lot to different people. But there's always one thing that we need people to accomplish to get the most from our product, right? So triggering a message in the right moment can help someone successfully get that task done by surfacing either a help article or any other sort of help with that message, so you can assist them right there in that moment. And for us at Help Scout, that's getting people to get their email flowing into their mailbox. So we want people to do that as soon as they possibly can. So at that right moment within Help Scout, we'll, fire up that message there to link to a docs article that gets folks that help as they're trying to get their email flowing into Help Scout. And alternatively, you could use a CTA in your message there, like you see that big button that's in our example message there, to link someone to another part of your product. Or another page on your website that you might want them to visit to accomplish a certain action. And we're going to be going through some best practices here as well. And one big one, this is near and dear to my heart. This is an actual live message that's in our own Help Scout account. That's my face on there. This is something that we actively use. So we're taking our best onboarding activity, the thing that we know performs the best for us. And for us, that is live training sessions, because they convert at a super high rate and help people get onboarded more quickly. So we surface that message inviting them to join us after they've had a chance to go through a few different pages within their Help Scout account. So maybe they hit, I believe I have this triggering on like page their 6th or 7th page view. So they've explored a little bit, and then we're going to surface this message to say, hey, come join us for a training so we can get you that little bit of extra help that you might need there. And I know for success, doing like proactive type of support is something that a lot of us have to do as well. And, sometimes you might want your customers to know that a human is there for them should they need it. And if there's an area of your product where folks might struggle a little bit more than others, offering proactive support in that moment can let them know that they can connect to another human in a matter of seconds, if that's something that they'd like to do, before they get too frustrated or even just leave and churn out altogether. So if you have the capabilities, offering chat is a great way to help. But you can even do self-service proactive support by showing a specific help article right where you think people might need it in that specific moment. So, live chat is a great thing to do with that proactive support. Surfacing those help articles, another great way, both things that we ourselves do. And so let's say we think about chat, we think about those help articles. But one unorthodox way to offer, more proactive support is to have your beacon open up to the contact form from a message. And then you can use custom fields to more quickly get that question to the right team. So if you're not available for chat, or if that's something that you don't, have the capacity to offer, you can still, pop up that message, encourage someone to email you with whatever issues they're having. When they use those custom fields and fill out that form there, then you can use a workflow to get that email to the right person or the right team. And that immediately, sort of feels like magic to that customer, right? Because their email was on the back end, so to speak, like very quickly got to a particular person that could reach out to them really quickly and help them. So with that combo of messages and custom fields in your beacon and workflows, you can really sort of move people quickly through the process and get them help as fast as you possibly can without having to offer chat, but still, giving that real sort of human experience there. And then when it comes to collecting feedback, which I know is top of mind, not only for us, but I'm sure many of you as well, we all want to know how we can be doing better, or offering our customers even better service and support. So micro surveys are a great way to do that. Even just having someone choose between that smiley face or frowny face can tell you exactly what you might need to know about what's going on. And I know, Megan, you've recently done a lot of experimenting and using of micro surveys with messages. Is there anything in particular that you have found super helpful with them as you have yourself have been using them?
Yeah, for sure. If you want, yeah, perfect. Next slide. So y'all may have seen this message before. It might look a little similar, because we did have a message very similar to this go live a few months ago. But yes, having run micro surveys before in app, and I will say that, just a reminder about messages and where you can display them. You can display them anywhere where Beacon is. Again, Beacon is that vehicle. So if you do have Beacon in your app, all of these messages can be, popped up directly in there. Which I will say, after talking to customers and understanding how they use micro surveys, they've said that the response rate they get from launching those in-app surveys is like 10x what they would get if they were to do it via email, or which was past ways they used to do it before leveraging micro surveys. So just want to encourage you, launching a survey in-app may seem daunting, or like, what do I even ask? But even just getting started with simple product feedback, as customer success teams, your role, you're the champion of the customer, you're the voice of the customer. So even really simple things like asking about their in-product experience is a great way to get started with micro surveys. I will say I have three best practices outlined here just from my experience, and then also learning from customers who do leverage micro surveys quite often in product. The first is to keep it short and concise. The main reason being is that we all know that people's attention spans are pretty short. And also you have to be quite precious with their time when you are, doing a pop-up or a message in app, right? Usually if they're in app, they're doing some pretty critical work. So like for Help Scout, folks are in there answering all those customer, questions and conversations as well. So we are pretty precious with our in-app messages. We want to make sure that they really do like make sense where they are, and that it's not going to be taking up too much of their time. So just really clear, concise surveys and questions are really going to serve you well, not only from a customer experience side, but also from an engagement side as well. Also, you want to be kind of what I alluded to before, being thoughtful about your survey placement. So really, think and place your message, or your survey, I should say, in a place that relates most to where you'd like feedback on. So if you're asking, feedback about a certain product feature, maybe put it in that place, that URL or that place in your product where it makes the most sense. So yeah, like I said, be really thoughtful about your placement. And then the third is just to take action from your responses. In Help Scout, you do have the ability to export data from your micro surveys. And then from there, you can share your findings to other teams in your organization to better put that customer voice inside of your organization's goals. So yeah, that's another action or best practice I would share when it comes to micro surveys and collecting feedback. Move to the next slide. All right, encouraging upgrades is our fourth way that you can use messages to reach your customer success goals. And really this is applicable because no matter the industry or size of a company that you work at, customer success teams are being challenged, and really any team is being challenged to be more productive, drive growth without increasing costs. And one of the best ways you can accomplish this is by leaning into your product to do that heavy lifting. So rather than just relying on, let's say, email campaigns to drive adoption and influence growth, you can do that as well with in-app messages. So you can use messages to convert free users into paying customers by highlighting premium features, or you can also promote new features that require customers to upgrade. So that's a little example that I have there. And you can go to the next slide. So best practices when it comes to these. So these are a bit more salesy type messages. So you do want to be very thoughtful and careful when you're using these type of messages. So my first best practice that I highly recommend is really take care when it comes to the copy of your message. You really want to clearly state the benefits of the new feature or the premium feature so that customers really understand the value that they're getting. So it makes sense that, you know, they're getting all these extra things that they wouldn't necessarily get by upgrading. And then the second is to have a clear call to action. This really helps in providing a positive customer experience. If you look at the example on the image there, the CTA or the call to action is pretty clear. It says upgrade now. If we were to have it say, learn more, there's like a million different avenues or ways that could lead to. Maybe that leads to the pricing page. Maybe that leads to a blog about that feature. Maybe it leads to a help article. Maybe it leads to you're talking to someone on the customer success team. It's very unclear. It's pretty ambiguous. So it's not a great customer experience. And then also, it can also result in fewer clicks, so affect your click-through rate. So having a really clear CTA, like I have here, upgrade now, which, you know, there's probably maybe two ways this is going to go. It's going to bring you right to a pricing page, or probably it's going to bring you directly where you can upgrade your account and get access to that feature. So having those clear CTAs are really helpful, not only for engagement, but again, that customer experience, which I know is on top of all of y'all's mind, being in customer success. All right, and the last one, reducing churn. So when you want to use messages for reducing churn, the first step is identifying those key moments in the customer journey or specific actions that at-risk accounts take. And then from here, you can find out where in your product and why users are struggling and proactively address these issues. So for one example, I was talking to a customer and she had noted that when their customers or their users had turned off a specific workflow, that had indicated that they were likely going to churn. You know, that was very pivotal in the whole product experience, and that was a big signal that a customer is going to churn. And then they were able to use messages along with other like email and other you know, practices as well to address and get after that at-risk account. So those are some things to think about as well. And then second, you can also use messages to drive users to high value features in your product or increase visibility into underutilized features they could that they could benefit from. So sorry, Allison, could you go back to the other slide? Great, thank you. I just want to show this example here for the setup guide. It's very similar to what we have in our product onboarding best practice that we talked about, but maybe there's some pivotal processes or steps that your users need to take that show or highlights that they are at-risk user, and maybe they're someone who's going to abandon their trial, never actually turn into a paying customer. Setup guides are one way that you could you know, pop that up in an app and encourage that action for them to take. Because the key here for reducing churn and using messages is just to get your customers more fully, or users, I should say, more fully integrated into your product so that they do become those lasting customers. And then you can go to the next slide. So yeah, kind of like I said before, partnering with your data team is a great way to find those features or feature that converts the users into long-lasting customers, and then using those messages to educate customers on that specific feature and double down on that education and usage. So I have an example here. Let's say workflows are really pivotal in that customer journey, getting them fully integrated in your product. On top of, you know, having that setup guide and encouraging them to do that, here we have this example of driving people to see inspiration about workflows that they can create, giving them really practical and actionable use cases. So that's one example of how you can proactively reduce churn, aside from the typical setup guide that you're used to seeing with onboarding. And then lastly, also bringing in what we talked about with microsurveys, leverage that customer feedback. Leveraging that customer feedback is a great way to get a pulse on customer satisfaction and gives insights into how your team can create a better experience. So maybe you do have an onboarding experience that you set up with messages and you think, you know, this is great, we're set. But then once you get that feedback from your customers, you realize there's some key areas that they're missing maybe in that onboarding experience. You can then use messages to promote those certain features or, you know, certain points in that customer journey. And again, get them more fully integrated into your product and turning them into lasting customers. Okay, you can, yeah, hand it off to you, Allison.
Okay, so let's see if I can do this. We've already had one meltdown here today with the
I believe in
timer.
you.
Let's see. All right. We can get this. You flipped over here. There we go. All
You're
right.
good.
So yeah, we're going to take everyone just really quickly through how to create a message inside your Help Scout account. If you want to start digging in here, there's a lot of cool things that you can do. So you'll notice, if you haven't before, that messages is in the sort of top navigation inside your Help Scout account. So you can click on that, and then that will bring you here where all of your messages will be organized and things like that. But we want to hop just right into creating a new message. And right from the jump, we'll see here that you can choose that message type, like we talked about at the start of our time here together today. So again, the standard message, you can see this example on the right-hand side. That's the message type that kind of pops up out from wherever your beacon is positioned. You can do NPS if that's something that you'd like to do. Those micro surveys are available there for you. Modals are really cool. So again, modals and banners both, that's just really great sort of tool in your toolkit to, not have to deal with your designers and developers and things like that. Like, I could come through here and in about 3 minutes have either a modal or a banner message set up on my website or wherever I have my beacon installed. So really, really cool stuff to dig into, especially if you've struggled in the past with like getting those extra resources and tapping into other teams that you need to execute something like this on your website or inside your app. Most likely you can do that with messages now. But I think I'm going to go ahead and set up a micro survey, because those are kind of just, they're fun to play around with. So we choose the type, you give things a name here. We'll just name this success for fun. And then we'll kind of get into the meat of it. So there's two main steps that you need to do here. One, obviously, is to, create that message with the copy and the action that you would like that person to take. So when you set up a micro survey, you'll have these actions here. When you set up a regular message, you will have several different types of actions. Like, do you want the beacon to open up to a docs article? Do you want it to open to your contact form? Do you want to start a chat? Those types of things are available there as well. So it's just a few quick steps. Obviously, you want to connect the message to a specific beacon. Many of you may just have one beacon in your account, but if you have multiple beacons, you can choose which beacon you want this message to be associated with. And then it's just a matter of deciding, what message or copy itself that you want to put out there. And again, the CTA, like I talked about, obviously here we want to survey folks, so that's our CTA. But we could just say, how are you feeling about us? And whatever information you want to put there in that message, that's where you could do that there in the body. And one fun thing that I want to point out, this is about as brand new as it gets. We now have AI in our editors, at least in the messages editor and in the email editor. So all I need to do here, let's say maybe this copy could use a little extra help. I can highlight it. You can see that AI button come up there, and I can do things like make it longer, make it shorter, make it, I can translate it to, let's say I want to actually make this in Spanish. I can do that. It's going to run there, and you can see I've now changed that to Spanish. So just a little fun aside, that if you're playing around creating messages or in your inbox replying to customers, that AI, we call it AI Assist, that's available for you now in the editor. And again, all you have to do is highlight the text, and that's available for you there. So again, just a little fun aside I wanted to show everyone, since it's literally brand new as of just a few days ago. So again, we have that body text. We know what we want to say there. We have our action. Again, in this case, we want to respond to a survey, but you can see here, if you're setting up a regular message, you've got options like going to a docs article. That's my personal favorite way to use messages, because someone can click on that button and it's just going to open the beacon right to a help article. So really, really great way to do self-service, proactive type of support. But here, obviously, we're going to respond to a survey, and we have types, so we can do faces, thumbs, emojis. That's kind of fun. You can play around with that there. And so that's basically it. So just really, really quick setup, like you see. And then the second main step to take here is where you want this message to appear, where and when also. So first visit would be anytime anyone visits any page on your website that has this specific beacon that I have this message connected to, that beacon installed on your website. The very first time someone visits any page, that's going to trigger the message and display to them there. But if you'd like a little bit more control over that, you can choose sequence of events. And like I said, you'll have that little bit more control over when and where exactly that message might display. So you can do things like last page viewed. As someone starts scrolling down the page, that will trigger the message to display after a certain number of page views. So like I mentioned earlier, in our Help Scout account, after like 6, I think it's either 6 or 7, I want to say it's 6 page views, that triggers that classes message, right? Because we know people have shown intent, they have interacted with our product just a little bit, and now we want to help them out. So that's a really great way to trigger and use messages there. Repeat page views, for things like shopping carts and, specific, maybe you've got a page or two or you know folks kind of come back to and are a little curious about. That's a great way to do that. Specific URL, so you can have a message that just triggers on one page of your website. That's really helpful for things, especially when you want to do more self-service type of support. If you've got that page where folks could use a little extra help, you can have the message display only on that page, and then again have the beacon open up to a docs article, maybe start a chat with you, things like that. Or even in this case of, say we want to put a survey somewhere, maybe we really want to see a survey on one specific thing. So have this one page, we're going to fire a survey there, and I can, like I said, more deeply control where that message is displayed, and in this case, get the exact feedback that we're looking for. Or even time on page. So after a certain number of seconds or even minutes, that might trigger the message there. And you can stack these a little bit too. So we want to say, I want to do a specific URL, and I want to then wait 15 seconds for that message to display. Really, sort of cool and simple way to do that. And that's really it when it comes to setting those messages up. So again, it's just about creating that message. So what, the copy, the message that you want to get across, the action that you want someone to take, again, whether it's interacting with your beacon a little bit more, doing those surveys, those types of things, and then just deciding when and where you want that message to display specifically. So as you can see, if we're doing this, without a and not a demo sort of, if you know what you want to do, you can come in here, you can set this up, just like click, I'm going to connect it to this beacon. I'm going to, this is the body copy that I want to give it. Here's the action that I want them to take. Let's say I want them to open a docs article. And then you can see it's like, just a few clicks, couple of minutes tops, you've got that message set up and you're ready to go with it. So that's like just a really sort of quick overview of how to set messages up. But as you can see, like very quick, very simple, no one else has to get involved. You can do this all on your own. And like I said, just a few minutes, and then just like that, you'll have that message that will display wherever this specific beacon is installed. So
awesome. Well, thank you, Allison. That was great.
Yeah.
We do have a bunch of questions, so I'll just feed them to you.
Yeah.
I think what would be helpful, because there are a couple questions, and I know our lingo can sometimes get confusing, like a beacon and a message.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, Allison, if you could just bring us back even to basics, describing what a beacon is.
Yeah.
And then from there, describing how messages kind of works with beacon.
Yeah. So let's look at a real-time example. So this is our own help site. You can see this button down here on the very bottom that says contact us is actually our beacon. So beacon is this little embeddable widget that you can put on your website. You can see here, we've got it on our help site. There's many, like wherever you have access to the code for a website, you can install a beacon there. In this instance, we have this beacon that's just a contact form, right? So the customer can fill this out like they would any other contact form. And when they click send a message, that's going to send that email right into our Help Scout mailbox. So the simplest way that you can get a contact form on your website that's also connected to your Help Scout account. But if we dig in a little deeper, we actually have a beacon installed on in our Help Scout account. So if we go here, we can open this beacon up. And here we've got a few more features of beacon, right? So you can read help articles within a beacon. It's got that contact form. If you want to offer live chat, you can do that. It looks like some of my teammates are online right now. I won't I won't startle them by starting a chat. But you can offer that. And then again, that contact form. So it has those 4 capabilities: the contact form, live chat if you want to offer it, messages, and then again, those docs articles. So that's beacon like at a very high level. And like I said, all you have to do is you can set a beacon up inside your Help Scout account. You can see we've got a few here. You can customize the beacon however you want it. And then we give you a little piece of code to get it added to your website. And if that's not something that you can do, we've got an email. You can send this to your developers, whoever. The code that they need is there. And then once the beacon is on your website, you don't have to get anyone else involved again. And you can totally control the beacon from your Help Scout account. So you can change your settings. You can create as many messages as you would like to. Those will all be connected to that beacon that you have set up. But from a like highest level, that's sort of the core of beacon, that contact form, live chat, messages, and displaying those docs there for you anywhere that you have that beacon installed.
Yeah, so yeah, just think of beacon is the help widget, is like Allison said at the beginning, it is the vehicle that delivers a message. A message is, you think of those pop-ups that says, welcome, how can we help you? Or all those different examples that we talk through throughout the entire session. So I know it can get a little confusing, but hopefully that clears it up.
Yeah.
If not, we do feel free to write into our support channel. And then we also have our help center as well that does walk through step by step how to set that up, and also visually shows the differences as well and explain those. So we have that. And then another question we have is, how are events triggered in-app rather than on a website?
Yeah, if you think about in-app, this is a perfect example, right? Like technically Help Scout is both an app and a website. And hey, look, we did not plan this message triggered there in real time here in my demo account. So yeah, it's just yet another way. You can use messages there for referrals and things like that, if something that you'd like to do. But technically there's sort of 2 ways that you can use and install a beacon. One is anything that's a website, even an app. So Help Scout itself, we would consider it a quote unquote app, but it's running on the web. You can see this web address is there. It's, running through the browser, through web code, all of that. So if you looked at the code for Help Scout, since it's all web-based, you would find that beacon code there. But if you use mobile apps, if you have mobile apps and your customers use them a lot, you can actually install a beacon on your mobile apps as well. So we have SDKs, and this is everything that's about to come out of my mouth is even more technical than I understand most of the time. But you do have the ability to install a beacon both in your iOS and Android mobile apps as well. So again, the installation of Beacon is going to take some developer help, right? Like someone who has access to the code of your website or your web app, or someone who has access to that code of your iOS or Android apps. But you can add that beacon to any of those spaces, and that's what you can do there. Where you get into a little bit of hardship is if you have things like SPA, so what are called single page applications. There's a few nuances to Beacon to get them installed in more non-traditional web environments. We've basically seen it all though. So if you're curious about anything, whether it's doing React or SPAs or anything like that, we've most likely seen it. But at its core, so again, you can email us and we can take you through that process if you want to get a beacon installed and say your SPA or something like that. But for the most part, at its core, Beacon is just a little piece of JavaScript that you can see here. And that is what you need to get it on your website or in your web app, like we see here right in Help Scout itself.
Yeah, and I'll answer another question that's been asking if it can be added to emails. And I believe the answer is no to that. It can only be on your web-based apps or your platform or on your website, or like Allison just walked us through on your mobile app and stuff like that. Am I
Yes.
correct in saying that?
Yeah. So it wouldn't be email itself. In fact, this question
Mhm.
came up earlier today that I answered for someone. And the best thing that I can think would be to have a link to your website wherever you have a beacon installed, right? So from your email, you could even link to a single page on your website. And when they click that link and they hit that page on your website, you could display a message there. So that's kind of one way to tie that message of, only displaying on a single URL of your website. You can kind of get to it that way. So that email link to that page of your site, which has that beacon installed, and then would display the message from there.
Awesome. I'm going to answer one question just about pricing.
Yeah.
So one of the questions is, what is the messaging pricing breakdown? And really to explain the unique viewer. So yeah, Allison, are you going to pull that up for
Yeah.
me? Great. So yes, like it says there is you basically every single plan on Help Scout has 2,000 unique viewers per month for messages. So no matter what plan you are on, you do have access to messages and you will not have to pay up to 2,000 unique viewers. Now, if you scroll down, what is a unique viewer?
Yeah.
So yeah, the beginning of that kind of gets into the technical info, but basically to answer the question here, that unique, just to read off what's here, the unique visitor will become a unique viewer when any one of your messages is shown to any Beacon device ID. So you can show that one unique viewer 5 different messages or 20 different messages during the month. And this is just one unique viewer. And I will say, sorry to clarify, it is 2,000 unique viewers per month. So that restarts per month for y'all. And yeah, I don't know if you have any other clarifying things you want to add to that.
No, just outside of, I think this is a cool little animation here, but inside
Yes.
your Help Scout account, if you want to set a limit for how many messages you display, so maybe you have a budget or whatever the case may be, you can totally control the spend from your account. So if you have let's say, you're running a campaign, you're pretty sure you're going to get a lot of website traffic, things like that. You can say, I only want to spend X amount of money on this campaign or this message or whatever the case may be, or messages on a whole in your account. And then once you hit that threshold, we just won't display messages anymore. So you'll never have like a month where you get a shocking bill or anything like that. You're in total control of just how many actual messages you display and what your sort of like monthly monetary output is from that.
Great call out. So again, on that point is kind of going off of that, someone asked, can you enable and disable messages such as for an example, seasonal campaigns?
Yeah, I actually do this once a week. It's in our Help Scout account, so I can't basically once a week I will get on and offer live chat just for a specific subset of customers. And then I have a message that pops up that that explicitly offers live chat. And then when I'm ready to stop that, I just pause it. So I activate and pause that particular message every time I do chat, just because I don't want it popping up. The alternative of chat is email, and that's not really something that I want popping up in there. I want it to be a really explicit situation. So there's a scheduling system in messages as well. So if you want to, let me see if I can get to that easily. You can set a schedule for messages so it can stop and start in a certain date range. But if you want to get even more granular, you can absolutely like pause and resume, manually do that as well. So you have those two options when it comes to, say, whether it's seasonal stuff that might fit more in this time frame, or maybe it's a message you only want to show, like Wild Like Me, like for a few hours a week. You can very easily do that as well.
And then just the last couple questions as we do round out at the 45-minute mark. One of the questions is, am I able to upload custom images for survey icons?
I don't know that answer off the top of my head. Do you, Megan?
I think the answer is no. You can, however, if you go into a message, Allison, the
Yeah.
little icon on the bottom right, so you see how it's like a little message. You do for a regular message, not a survey.
Yes.
I don't believe a
Yeah.
survey. Maybe you
Yep.
can.
I know what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah,
So,
you can put an image or like a face, like you can have my face or Allison's face, like right here. So that button on the bottom right hand, you can. For a survey, I believe it's just the smiley face, the ones that are already preset there.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's for server reasons. Be a lot of image hosting that we'd have to do. That's kind of a whole other ball of wax in itself. But yeah, let me see if I can. Boy, I say that things are very quick and easy to do, and then I try to do them myself in front of a bunch of people, and it's always never any fun. So yeah, it's just these options for you here. That's not to say if let's say these emojis are not, like, we're always open to feature requests for that. So if there's specific things that you might want to change these to, or maybe you just want options here, that's something that we could, I say that out loud, and then I just taught myself something new about Help Scout as we speak. So for emojis, you can edit them. So that might get people a little bit closer to, say, doing like custom images there. That's probably, I bet, as close as we can get. But again, any feature requests for messages that you've got, we'll take them. You can shoot them to us at help@helpscout.com, and we'll be sure to get that to the right team.
Awesome. Okay, last one. Can we just go over the audience segmentation again, just to describe a little bit more in depth about what that looks like? So yeah, the next one there for them.
On audience itself?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, this gets a little tricky, and that's why we didn't really I didn't really include this in when I was talking about messages before. But there's two groups that you can kind of do this to. Now, at this point, we're getting into technical stuff, so things you would have to get your developers involved with, because it's going to involve customer segmentation, and that all has to be done through the API. So not to say that it's not possible, because you totally can do it, but this is where messages goes from a very quick thing that anyone can do themselves to something that you'll need a little bit more extra help with. So for the most part, everyone is who you would want your message to go to, and that would basically be any person visiting your website or your app. The message will display to them. But you can do select people, and this ties into our customer properties feature, which allows you to set really specific information about someone. So I don't know what I even have set up here in my demo account. Okay, customer ID is a perfect one. Let's say you wanted to send a message on through your web app to customer IDs 1 through 1000 or something like that. Well, you could do that with messages, but you would have to have your developers connect your database to your Help Scout account through our API. So again, it starts to get pretty complicated pretty quickly, or not complicated, just, involves more technical layers to that. But if you're already using customer properties, and you're setting those and defining customers in really specific ways, you can indeed target them with messages as long as you have that data flowing into your Help Scout account and you have your beacon connected to your website in a way that's going to identify those customers as they are on your site or in your app. That we could probably talk about that for a long time.
Yes.
But one thing that I'll just point out here is if you want to dig in deeper on this, we have developer documentation for all parts of Help Scout. We have it for Beacon as well. And what you'd be looking for is the identify user object. And this is a rabbit hole. If you want to go down it, it's kind of fun. I myself will program in this from time to time or play around with it. But again, it does take that developer help to get the beacon and your own database and your Help Scout account all sort of wired together.
Yeah. And our help docs, again, do outline this as well. So no, there is a central place for you to find this info. This is not just it said and you can never find it again. So yeah, you can really do it as broad or as granular as you want with those audiences. It really just, comes down to how technical y'all want to get.
Exactly.
Yeah. You can go back to the slide deck, Allison. And so, we're rounding out almost at the end of the hour. Just want to say thank you so much, everyone, for joining the session. Really enjoyed walking through everything with y'all. If we weren't able to get to your question or you have a more technical question, let's say setting up audiences or maybe getting started with Beacon, we do have the help at helpscout.com, which you can reach out to, and any of our C team or customer support team, I should say, like Allison and many others who can help walk you through that. Any last words, Allison, before we end this?
Yeah, no, I'll just say I want to apologize again for my power outage.
You're good. You've recovered quite quickly.
Beautiful sunny day here. So that was the last thing I was expecting. So I appreciate everyone's patience with that. And yeah, like Megan said, any of us on the customers team would be glad to help with anything at all. Help@helpscout.com, or if you're inside your Help Scout account, you can open our beacon that's here. So you can get to it by clicking on that question mark, opening up our beacon. All of our help articles are here, but most importantly, here's how you can reach out to us as well. So whether you email us through the beacon or directly, they all come to the same place, and no question's too big or too small. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us. That's what we're here for.
Yes. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Happy almost Friday. And have a great one.
Yeah, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.